All right, Buck, let's hear from David Pierce real quick. Craig Way caught up with David Pierce and asked David that, if you're looking to shine a pig, you know what I mean? Or put what do they say? Lipstick on a pig. The 0-2 performance at the Big 12 tournament was not good. You didn't bring it. You didn't bring the intensity it was going to take to win that. And you suffered some injuries while you were there. Craig Way asked David Pierce, if there's one glimmer of good coming out of it. You did get to come home, get healthy, get rested. Here's David Pierce talking about getting the week off.
I always have a 24-hour rule before I really speak to the team. I want to gather information. I want to make sure that when we discuss what had just happened, we have valid information. And looking back, we were beat up in the West Virginia series, and we just were piecing some guys together. And so the rest has been important for especially JT and Peyton, everyday players that just needed a break, just with some injuries. I wouldn't call them minor, but at the same time, they're injuries that they can overcome, and the rest has been just critical. Probably got a couple of arms that are down, but at the same time, opportunity for some other guys.
All right, so there's David Pierce.
I like it. I mean, I like that method, but I've dealt with coaches that want to work as quick as they can and get it out of the way. They want to work on emotions. I was very much into, I don't want to wait to get to talk to you guys. So I need to talk to you now.
That's your feelings on rest versus rust. You'd rather take the.
Well, this is a team that I think needed the rest, but again, they didn't need to go 0-2. But to your point yesterday about they didn't score any runs, if you look at the two guys he talked about, Jared Thomas and Peyton Powell, in the West Virginia series when Texas scored 29 runs in 3 games, those guys batted .500. They were on base every time around. It felt like, and they went up to Arlington, and those guys didn't get a hit. I mean, and both were banged up. Both, Jared's dealing with a back injury. Peyton Powell's got a rib cage problem, and I think the rest for
both legitimate injuries that affect your batting for sure.
Those two are igniters. Those two are the fuel of the lineup because you get those guys on from the left side at 1 and 2. Well, now all of a sudden you're into Dylan Campbell, you're into downtown Porter Brown, you're into the heart of that lineup, Eric Kennedy.
But as you've talked about this year, and you and Ty have talked about, baseball this year is about the hitting. The guys that have been very good at, getting the ball in play, getting it out there. And you're right. You can't expect to have this pitching staff pitch these unbelievable games.
That's the number one thing. I think with the injuries in their bullpen, you know what Lucas Gordon is. He'll be on full rest plus. So will LeBaron Johnson Jr. You feel good about that. You also feel good about the progress of Tanner Witt and where he can help you. But with the depleted bullpen, I don't know that you can go on the road into Coral Gables and expect to win pitchers' duels. I mean, your offense is going to have to score runs.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
And that's what was so impressive in the West Virginia series dominance was they were playing with leads the whole time, which makes it so much easier to pitch to contact and not worry about giving up a solo home run because it's already 6-0. Obviously, they went up to Arlington and didn't do any of that. They put a lot of pressure on their pitchers because they didn't score any runs.
And they weren't getting double-digit. I mean, they were 6 runs. That was it.
No, they got 2 hit in the K-State game. And in the Kansas game, they scored 3 runs, but 2 of those came on solo home runs from Jack O'Dowd that delivered you 2 runs. And the other one, so you scored 3 runs in 2 games after scoring 29 runs in 3 games. Offense can help this pitching staff quite a lot in Coral Gables. All right, so we'll hear more from David Pierce this week. You know who we're also going to check in with later in the week, Buck, to get a preview of this series? Because yesterday we talked to Ty Harrington, who had called 6 Louisiana Lafayette games while he was at the Sun Belt tournament, so we got a pretty good gauge on that team out of the Sun Belt. Our man Lee Sterling will join us. Lee Sterling of ParamountSports.com, who lives in Miami.
Miami man.
And he says he's been to 20 or 30 Miami games this year. Baseball. He's a big baseball fan, so he's going to give us his scouting report on the Hurricanes. But let's hear David Pierce, what he has to say about the Hurricanes, or hosting this, of course, out of the Atlantic Coast Conference and one of the traditional powers in college baseball.
Yeah, you look back in the 70s, 80s, early 90s, and there's probably 15 teams every year that were going to be, in contention for a national championship. And you look at those 15, and 8 of that group were going to be in Omaha. And Miami was always in that circle. They've continued to have a very good program. Gino's done a nice job of picking up some of the pieces a few years ago and regrouping, and they've got a ton of tradition, same as us. So it'll be a historical type setting, facing a team that's been there and done that before.
All right. So Miami. We'll learn more about the team itself at Miami this year with Lee Sterling later in the week. Longhorns don't play till Friday. And let's also remember the Longhorn basketball season ended at the hands of the Miami Hurricanes. If you remember back not long ago.
I was trying to forget.
Yes, when the Longhorns had a 12-point lead in the second half.
When I was booking tickets?
You were booking tickets to the Final Four. It was the Miami Hurricanes that ended the Rodney Terry team run at the Elite Eight level.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You put the whammy on them.
And now this Texas team could be facing Miami on baseball on the diamond for the opportunity to move on to a super regional round. So we'll follow that, obviously, into the weekend. Looking forward to it.